Alright, Jake, we just watched Bone Alone.
Well, Bone was a good comic, so I wouldn't say it was Bone Alone.
We watched Alone for Christmas.
Oh.
Why is that dog on the cover?
He was barely there.
So...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you were going to say something.
I was going to say, pretty much, I think just what we said.
I guess because he was the cute one.
I guess so, yeah.
This was the main dog right there.
Yeah. It's barely on the box.
So, this is just Home Alone with dogs.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it when you brought the movie in, but you're like... And then you have to think, Alone for Christmas. Like, what other movie has something alone for Christmas? Oh, probably Home Alone.
So, basic plot. Family's going to grandmother and grandfather's for a week.
Yeah.
They leave the old dog in a kennel because...
Because he's bad, I guess.
But the little one's the one that does everything.
Yeah.
But they're taking the little one with them. They overhear...
Postman.
The postman was fishy.
Literally. Smelled like fish.
And when he's in the kennel, this dog talks about how he lost his bite because his house was robbed and he was the guard dog.
Now, we'll get back to lost their bite later.
Yeah.
That's the moving part of the movie.
And the dog talked about bad cologne and fish smell. I was like, oh no, and he linked it. Therefore, criminals are going to break into the house.
Because the criminals that broke into other dog's house smelled fishy, and this one smelled fishy because they had a fish van. It had to be something to smell because it's a dog,
So the dog escaped and got home, and he set up traps. Like, literally. Dumped glue on stuff, and he kept saying stupid things.
Alright, well, we'll get back to that. Let's start with, from the beginning, we had an animated intro.
Yeah.
Which was about 3 frames of animation per thing. Not very good.
Suck on that Christmas vacation.
I guess. But not really. So you've got, you've got your family, which is the kid who apparently is too smart for his own good, stuck into it. It's almost like the Home Alone we watched before. He's just all into gadgets. Although the girl isn't like I want to go to the mall. She's like, I still believe in Christmas.
She was a little older than that boy.
Yeah. Then you got the mom and the dad. And, so, like we were saying, he has to bring the dog to the kennel, which is, run by this hippie guy. And there's this, it's got to be, a 5-7 minute long bit where he's just talking to the guy, and the guy's like, I'm just down on my luck. I'll take good care of your dog. I'll love it like my brother. You got to give this to... just... Wait, I get it. He's a loser. You could see the dogs are just running around his house, because apparently he was running a dog daycare kennel, but it looked more like an animal hoarders thing. There was just, the dogs were running all over, he was slipping and poop and didn't care. And then for some reason the dad's still like, oh, okay, I'll leave him with you. And the big thing was, they had one of those doggy cams. So he's like, look, everybody, you can see your dog on TV.
And that's how the little one that was with them overheard that criminals were going to break in the house.
Yeah, that's how he overheard. And so we sort of had 2 storylines going on. I guess you could say 3, but it was weird because you've got the criminals at home, and that dog that was setting up traps, and then you had the little dog that was trying to get home. So it's pretty much what you said, homeward bound alone, where he's like, and then you've got it cuts to the family going, oh no, where's our dogs? And there was some bad stuff there too. But
yeah, no one really seemed upset that the dog jumped out and climbed in another truck.
Well, they sort of seemed upset, but not genuinely.
They weren't like, oh my god, our dog's dead.
Yeah, they weren't like, it's like, oh no, hopefully he'll be home. It's like, we gotta go find him, I guess. And then they're like, oh, the other one's, So anyway, it's too much to talk about.
It's getting flustered.
So then you got the one dog that comes home, and he starts setting up traps where he scratches a hole in the wood floor in about 3 seconds and puts a mat over it. And like you were saying, he says terrible puns for everything he does. So it's like, let's see him step up to this challenge. And then he puts soap on the floor of the kitchen. He's like, this'll slip him up. And then he plugs the shower with a ball. Because that's what he thinks dogs can do. He sets a curling iron next to a metal candlestick.
Which wasn't even plugged in, so it must be a battery-powered curling iron.
No, it was plugged in, just they didn't do it.
Well, he shot it in the guy's mouth later, and there was no cord on it.
True.
And it was still hot.
That's not a very good safety feature. So anyways.
There was some terrible CGI.
Yeah, there was some...
Let's name it all.
Okay, so...
Back window breaking.
Yeah, so the little dog has to escape from the car, that's the second story. And so he's left out in the car, he licks the parking brake till it goes off, it rolls into a building, and you just see this car step on, or basically tap it, and then just a window blowing out the back like fucking someone hit it at 60 miles an hour. So there's that. There, basically,
the shower filling up water.
Well, we'll get there. We're not going to the car yet. This is one of the cheapest movies. You could tell. I want to talk a little bit about that because that kind of explains the CG. Is anytime these people were in a car driving anywhere, all you could see out the windows was white, and then you would see like the car driving down streets. But apparently, they couldn't film on location anywhere. Although other cars you could sort of see through the windows, but anytime the family was in there, it was just blank white.
And one probably fat dude shaking it.
Yeah, so maybe the director owned the car. He didn't want it scratched or anything because like the actors couldn't actually be in the car driving it. The window didn't blow out the back. It just was that shitty CGI. When they were trying to get the little dog because they could see he was in the back of the truck driving off. The dog's new friend, who was a German Shepherd with a bloodlust, throws a nailed piece of board and causes the vehicle to spin out, which is a CG vehicle that basically spins down about a mile's worth of road going like this, cutting to the family inside the blank white windows going, oh, and the girl's like barely swaying, even though the thing is going like that much. So you got CG for that. And then they're changing the tire, which isn't even flat, although it was obviously completely torn off like with the CG. And then the spare tire rolls off, which I mean goes down the road at 50 miles an hour, CG. So it's like they couldn't do anything to this car. Like, yeah, maybe it was too expensive. Maybe it was a Lexus, you know? So it's too expensive.
The tire looked way too small that was rolling away.
Yeah, no, well,
it's like a lawnmower tire.
No, I think it sort of looked big. It was just the scale. That's what he says. So anyway, the other CG you were talking about was the shower.
They were guy got trapped in the shower and it was filling up. Which
I don't
he could have pulled the ball out.
Yeah, so there's a ball. Well, maybe it went far down. But so there's a ball plug in it, and it's one of those ones where you shut the door, and apparently it's water sealed, but it doesn't make any sense. And so you just see him like, oh no, and the water's just. Ooh.
And then that bust open.
Yeah,
and
you see that flush out like it's a freaking typhoon.
But he was upstairs.
Oh, you're right. And
so he came from around the corner. Not down the staircase that was right next to him that they were standing on.
Well, half the time, none of that made sense. Like, when he grabbed the hot candlestick and threw it behind him, it suddenly, the guy in the middle of the foyer, the living room, or the main area catches it. So
yeah, I swear the candlestick was downstairs, too.
I don't know.
Whatever.
Maybe. Anyway.
It got downstairs eventually because he was going to hit somebody.
Yeah, so you've got... What else do we need to talk about?
Let's talk about
Kevin.
The little skinny guy. We can get to Kevin Sorbo.
Okay, so we need to talk about the criminals. We've got our main guy, who is just, I don't know, what do you want to say about him?
Just the leader.
The leader, he's just...
A fat guy that just wanted to bake and sing.
Yeah, he wanted the easy bake oven, he wanted to carol. He was like, oh, why am I here?
And the skinny guy that just wanted to eat.
Who is that guy? I'll have to look it up, because I swear I recognize him.
So he got all the brunt of it.
Oh, he pretty much... I mean, yeah, well, at the end, the fat guy sort of got hung up, but the skinny guy is the one who he fell through the hole and had his hips ground against the wooden floor while getting hit in the back with a frying pan by the dog he apparently couldn't see.
Somehow. Multiple hits with a frying pan.
So then he... what happens to him next? He
ends up stuck in a clothing chute.
First he gets the bean dip out of the fridge.
Yes, he eats lots of beans.
I love bean dip. Starts eating it.
And then a lot of farts. Every time he got stuck somewhere, he just farted.
Yeah, so he gets stuck going down the thing, and he's like, no, the beans. And then he gets a lawn dart thrown into his actual asshole, which we know, because when the guy pulls the lawn dart out, he just starts farting, which apparently he couldn't do.
Did you hear the sound, though? It was like...
I didn't hear that. No.
It sounded like...
That was a spiked lawn dart, so that was like...
Which you didn't see because he's like, ah, and it had a shot of him there. There's no lawn dart.
Anytime because he got a glass ornament thrown on him, but it would just show his legs, he was just wiggling them. There's nothing bleeding or wrong with him.
Then the dog lights a barbecue downstairs, which was a charcoal one, but he turned the switch.
Turned on the gas, and of course CG fire.
So he's facing head down the chute, right?
Yeah.
When he falls through, he falls vertically.
Oh, because he's like this.
And his head hits, which is a mannequin head. They just kind of on it. And then he just has really badly made burn scars on his face.
Yeah, so he's fallen to the floor, he's got burn scars, and then he gets... Apparently he's lighter than a standard dish satellite dish. Because the dogs tie one of those and then bring a rope down and get him to fall on his face somehow. They tie his legs up while he's eating fucking cookies they left on the mantle for a week. I guess I hadn't done that for a week, but why is he milking cookies? Anyway, so then he gets tied up and the thing, it's apparently heavy enough that lifts him halfway up the chimney. Then they light that on fire.
And then he farts and a bunch of explosions happen.
He farts 2 or 3 times. But then CG explosions explosions throughout the house. Don't burn anything except for him.
Which is just black soot on his face.
Yeah. So
Anyways.
there's and he does, after he gets his face burned, even though it's not the same people as Home Alone, he goes, had to sneak one in there. It's like, if you don't know what movie we're copying, here's a clue.
By the way, this is made by Asylum, so that's what they do.
Yeah, I don't know that, but I guess Owen knows it's better.
Yeah, they make, instead of snakes on a plane, they make snakes on a train.
Oh, okay.
Shit like that. Now they're doing it on more popular movies. This one's kind of old one to be copying, but
yeah,
they did, Transformers came out, so they made Transmorphers. They're usually terrible like this.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So we got backtrack. Kevin Sorbo, which is in the trailer, which I was like, wait till you see him, Jake. And then there's these 3 criminals. None of them are Kevin Sorbo.
Yeah.
He's like the cousin of the guy who gets called in because he's a dog catcher, which really he just steals dogs and waits for rewards to show up and then returns them.
And then he collects on them.
So he demanded $60 and the rest of the guy's enchilada.
Which it turned out.
So then he tries to catch the dog with a fishing rod with a stake on it, which looked rubber.
It like stretched even. It looked like flubber almost.
Which the dog puts in a guy's pants, and then there's that whole scene he's dragging him through the house.
Yeah.
But whatever. There's this whole... The best part of the whole movie is he's explaining about why dogs are evil.
Well, we have to talk about the dogs with their bite. There's this whole thing where, like, every dog has a bite, which turns out to metaphorically mean that the dog is clever enough to set traps. It doesn't have to be your teeth. But Kevin Sorbo, a.k.a. Dog Catcher Man, apparently understands this because he's kidnapped some dogs. He's like, every dog has a bite. And he's like, this one here, but the worst one was the one I got mentally. And you can...
So he's talking about they're smuggling illegal and endangered animals in a plane. There's 12 guys. It crashes in the ocean.
Well, I thought it said there were 14.
14 guys?
But I thought it was 14 of the animal.
Well, there was a bunch of guys, too.
Oh.
Maybe there wasn't 12. Yeah. There was a bunch of guys because they were being picked off one by one.
Okay.
So they crash in the ocean. Of course, immediately one of the guys goes, French poodles aren't endangered.
Well, we didn't even mention that. That's what they were smuggling, is they were smuggling French poodles, which were apparently illegal and endangered to take from France.
So they crashed, and one by one, the people were being eaten by the chihuahuas, or the poodles. You would see the diamond-studded collar, and then the tail would come up. And then the guy pointed out, are you talking about sharks? And he's like, what are you, dumb? Why are we transporting sharks?
Even though they crash in the ocean.
And there's this whole, 5-minute long story about these poodles murdering them in the ocean while they were swimming. Yeah. And he survived. And that was the best part of the whole movie.
Yeah, no, yeah.
And then he ends up being electrocuted and thrown, and then he just leaves, and that was it. I'd say maybe 10 minutes tops.
Yeah, he had made 2 attempts to catch the dog, and then he's like, I'm leaving. Yeah. He ate 2 enchiladas, tried to catch the dogs twice. I guess that was it.
It didn't fart either.
No, he did. He can hold it beans.
Okay.
But yeah, I guess that's the movie. So, I don't know, that kind of scene sort of reminds me of the first Thanksgiving, where there's that scene where it randomly goes to the guys. It's like, he's my best friend. You've seen the first
I haven't seen Thanksgiving.
Oh, whoops. Never mind then. I didn't say nothing.
But I was going to make you watch it, but you already saw it.
Yeah, I did. So it's just sort of that unexpected thing that...
The traps were pointless. Glue on teddy bears. So then the guy walked around with teddy bears on.
Yeah, and later he got 2 on his hands so he could have a fight with the dog. Because that's probably the only way they could do it, not be animal abuse. He's like, I'm hitting him with the teddy bear.
Yeah, those were probably the worst parts. The fat guy trying to catch the little dog, and he's like, fake missing him, and the dog's just looking at him scared and confused.
And then the other guy's like, I found the 2 that obviously stuffed dogs. He looks like, got you guys. Oh, I got
They're on my...
So, which was just Elmer's glue.
Pretty much they were trying to kill the skinny guy, and the other ones just got mildly wet or sticky. Like the mouse traps and ugh.
Yeah. We can't. You have to watch it to see everything. I think
I would say don't watch it.
Oh, yeah, no, don't actually. But
unless you're really high or drunk.
Don't even watch it then.
Well, you might find it hilarious then.
I don't think you would. I think you would just be more disappointed than we are now.
You could just watch Home Alone high and drunk, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe just find the Kevin Sorbo clips online.
Yeah.
If you really love Hercules.
Yeah,
He's been in terrible shit lately, poor guy. Hercules' money's running out.
I say he was David Carradine at first, just because of the hair, I think, but... That's me, not really knowing Jay.
Pretty sure he's dead.
Yeah, I know he is. That's why I didn't say it. So, Alone for Christmas, like this movie should be, and for the rest of its life, in a box that isn't watched. It's a dog. You see that dog a little bit. Santa is their grandfather. I spoiled it.
Go rent it on YouTube now.
Rent on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's on there.
You can rent shit on YouTube?
Yeah.
Weird.
You have to pay.
Well, I guess, but...
You can just watch the trailer and you know.
Can I rent The Hobbit on YouTube?
Maybe. Watch it! No, don't.